Roch, thank you so much for agreeing to chat to me today. I want to ask you, what are you most proud of during your tenure at UCB?
Well, Paul, the first thing that comes to mind is, of course, the number of people, lives that we touched, and I'm thinking, of course, of the patients first. Hopefully, we saved a few people that live with epilepsy and make sure they don't die from sudden death. Hopefully, we made a few people living with rheumatoid arthritis live a better life, and it's a source of pride and energy, and it's a source of humility because you can always do more. And then when I think about people, I think of course about my colleagues at UCB, including my successor, and having seen the development of the people, the impact that my colleagues at UCB have had on science, on shareholder returns also, and then the ability of them to develop. And again, when I think about Jean-Christophe, my successor, that's one of the source of pride, to have people develop and being able to become a great CEO, better than his predecessor, I'm sure.
I want to just find out whether or not your ambition and motivation throughout your career was always the same. Did you always, even from an early age, have this motivation to focus on the patient? Or were you initially far more business performance oriented? Surely you have to have been to have achieved a senior position.
Yeah, but it's interesting because indeed I was always inspired by that, and for many years I thought I was a soft guy and a poor manager, because that's a soft part, although I do believe that you have some very hard at the end, very hard commitments. When you're driven by really having an impact on the life of patients, you have to perform. But for many years I sort of put that under the carpet and try to behave as a real tough manager, and not talking about these soft things. And it's really when I started as CEO of UCB where I say, well, that was one of the attraction, transform a company to shape it into a company that would live that culture and exemplify that culture, and show that indeed, initially I thought you could live that culture and perform. And over the years, I've come up even more to think that by being very demanding on the impact that you have on patients, in fact, you perform better than the others that are just being driven by finance. Finance is a result of this, very high demand. And if you think about it, UCB is world leader for the treatment of epilepsy. So every epileptic patients that haven't been given the opportunity to be treated by one of our drugs is a sign of not being patient-centric. And that's really how I feel. So that drives a lot of performance, because then you think about market share not as a commercial item. You think about market share as, well, what are the refractory people that you have given them the opportunity to be seizure-free? Not all of them will be. Not all of them will have a better life, but at least you given them a chance to have a better life. So at the end I reconciled, but for many years I was helped by a leader that was a tough guy, pure finance guy. And I guess I always had this patient-centric item, and then I learned maybe to be the hard part, and you need both. But the finance is the results of doing good for patients, of really transforming patients' lives. It's not the other way around. It's not sustainable the other way around.
Some of the people at this conference, for example, Gita Arbo, who's CEO of Leo, actually described you as their inspiration at the very highest level. So clearly there's a lot of people who like the idea of emulating what you've done, or at least having a similar sort of impact on the industry. Can the sort of things that you've just mentioned be nurtured, or is it very much your nature? I'm trying to find out if people should try and have this kind of ability to do both things, and how important it really is that they don't ignore that soft side?
I think it's absolutely critical. Again, I'm coming back, even if you're just coldly thinking about business and meeting your customers' needs, that's what I'm talking about. Now, it happens that we, in addition to that, but that's our industry, answer fundamental human needs, which is health, and make people feel better. But everybody can, in fact, I never understood why it's so obvious to me that why everybody is not doing it. Again, if you, everybody can make a difference in the patient's life. The key is the discipline then that you have and the consistency, so that every single one of your actions, every single one of your decisions have to fit that purpose. Otherwise, that becomes a tagline, indeed. That becomes something that is, and then you lose all your credibility with one decision. So it's, I think the day where you make a decision, where you walk away from money because it would not be the best thing for patient, then you've gained your credibility, and then ironically, you can engage much better performance around making the difference, the real difference to the life of patients, and then you deliver superior drug, and then you deliver superior results to shareholders.